Well, channeling for me has been another energy, a feeling of another energy communicating through me. That's what channeling is for me.
Trans-channeling actually started happening around 3 years ago. I had a face-to-face encounter with a UFO, extraterrestrial craft.
We actually had bright, broad daylight, physical close sightings of Bashar spacecraft over Los Angeles.
Mina, a spiritual entity, manifested in my bedroom. And of course I thought I was nuts.
I felt myself totally involved by a strange force, and I got paralyzed.
I didn't know what was going on, and it freaked me out, quite honestly.
Tonight, we're going to show you some film that may change the way you think about life. It's called channeling. We'll look at what it is, some of the people doing it, and the energies that appear to come through them. Hello, I'm Telly Savalas. But before we start, let's begin with a subject many of us are quite interested in: contact with extraterrestrials and their civilizations. Contacts here in Switzerland. To a farmer with a grade 6 education called Edward Meyer. From a distant star in the system we call the Pleiades, contacts from a civilization called the Pleiadians, who look, are you ready, exactly like we do. 500 light years away, they come to this planet because they say we once lived all together in the star system of Lyra that was later destroyed by nuclear catastrophe. Some able to escape settle in the Pleiades. They're not aliens. They say they are our very long-lost brothers and sisters, gently awakening us into remembering who and what we are. If they can make their ship sail through endless space and reach a planet, reach a man on that planet, and through Edward Meyer, reach all of us, could they also make their minds reach us somehow, some way? Tonight, we're going to find out what happens when we give our attention to whatever or whoever may be trying to communicate with us. But first, let's look at a few people who are able to be channels for these communications from other realms beyond ours. Watch this.
Jamie, we understand you channel two entities, an extraterrestrial calling herself Leah and another entity calling himself the Tibetan. Can you tell us how all this channeling began for you?
Well, trans-channeling actually started happening around 3 years ago. I was sitting in the backyard, everyone else was inside, and I was looking at the sky, and all these clouds started going across, and then one wasn't moving. And I knew for sure that there was something behind the cloud. And so I just screamed mentally, "Why are you hiding from me?" All of a sudden, telepathically, I could hear the voice, now we know it was Leah, and she would instruct me on what to do. And it was almost like an enormous wave of love.
Hello, Philip. How are you today?
Very good, Leah. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. So, what is it that you wanted to know?
Where are you from?
I'm from Venus.
I don't think anybody's going to believe that you or anybody else could be from Venus. Could you explain to us how you could be when everybody knows it's uninhabitable?
They think it's uninhabitable because it is not inhabitable by physical life forms. We have bodies of light. They are non-physical. We exist in a dimension that you have not yet encountered, where atoms move so very rapidly that you could put your hand directly through, let us say, a solid wall. Let us take a look at the fact that there are 3 separate types of extraterrestrial craft. There are those that come in light form that will pick up on your films, your cameras, that supposedly are not visible to the naked eye, except there is some sort of light that is different in the air or around a cloud. However, they do pick up on your film. That is coming from a higher dimension or density, and coming in not to frighten anyone, not to be visible, but simply to be there to observe. There is the physical contact. That is ships that are coming in that are visible to everyone, whether in the night sky or during the day. And thirdly, you have those ships that come from your past or your future. For there is no time. They break the idea of time. There were 5, no 6, great civilizations that planted in various portions of your planet genetic seeds. Even your Bible says it, that the race of gods married the daughters of men. And what occurs here on this planet will affect the rest of the universe. Can you, with all of your different ideas, all of your different races, come together as one planet and one people? We have dedicated millennia upon millennia to this idea. The earlier experiments with Pan and Lemuria and Atlantis were not successful. But this one will be.
Since Jamie also channels another entity called the Tibetan, is there any chance that the Tibetan could come through for our cameras right now?
Well, you might have to wait a moment. He's been hanging around, but he wasn't sure this was his time. So.
Well, should I continue on with questions then?
No, I will have to relinquish control and allow his energy to enter.
All right.
Thank you. I am the Tibetan, and I have come during this time continuum to discuss with you the idea of the only question in the universe. And that question is, what is? And the answer is, I am. For all things that are created, that were created, that shall be created, fall under the question, what is? And you, each and every one of you, are that answer, and that answer is I am. I am is also the name of the creator of this universe. That is all. I relinquish control to the entity, Leah. Well, all right, Philip. You have another question?
I do have one last question, Leah. I'd like to know, for everybody here and the people who may be watching, is there anything in closing that you would like to say to all of us?
I guess the old fogey said it pretty much all in all, but I guess I might come up with a thing or two to say. This new age is where there will be a race on this planet and throughout all galaxies. And the name of that race will be peace. It's been wonderful spending some time with you. As you take this little piece of information with you, know that you are never alone. You are all connected to the creative source of this universe. And nothing can stop that flow except your denial that you are God. We thank you. Good day.
My basic understanding of what most channelings are all about is that they're the product of an arrangement or an agreement that is made prior to the physical life between the person that's going to do the channeling and the being that is going to be channeled.
Daryl Anka, born in Ottawa, Canada, now living in Los Angeles. 3 years ago, while bicycling with some friends in broad daylight, he spotted a triangular-shaped UFO. But something more unusual happened afterward.
On 2 different occasions within the span of the same week, with 4 friends with me the first time and 2 friends with me the second time, we actually had bright, broad daylight, physical, close sightings of Bashar spacecraft over Los Angeles. Now, what I didn't understand at that time, and what I understand now, is that that physical sighting was his way of kicking me in the subconscious memory to start learning what I needed to learn to fulfill the agreement I had made. Bashar and his people made contact, and as soon as the mental connection was there, the memory of having made the agreement came back, who they were, who I was to them, what the ship sighting was about, dream encounters I had had with them that I totally blocked up to that point all came back in that one memory, and along with it was the first message that they had for me mentally, which was, okay, now this is the time to start doing this if you still want to. Do you still want to? Obviously I said yes, and that was just a little over 3.5 years ago, so that's how it sort of began for me.
This day of your time as you create time to exist. Allow us to begin with an interaction on the idea of miracles. In this way, recognize that what you often consider in your civilization to be miracles, you consider to be out of the ordinary, above and beyond the mainstream reality that you are used to experiencing in your day-to-day world. But recognize, what you typically call a miracle is, in actual fact, a recognition of the fundamental workings of the universe. So if you wish your life to become, as you think, more miraculous, and for life to become more and more effortless expression of that level of creativity, then all you need to do is allow your life to revert back to its natural state, to the zero rest balance point, to allow the things in your life to be there that need to be there, rather than thinking you must make or force or push those ideas into creation. Desire, determination, those are tools that can allow you to allow your reality to work, but desire and determination do not have to be expressed in a struggle type of mode. Desire is the activation key that will bring to you anything you believe to be possible to experience in your life. And when you allow your desire, your excitement, which is your indication of your connection to the primal energy out of which all is created, when you allow your desire to bring those things into your life, then your life will be effortless, will be miraculous, day to day to day. You follow along?
We're doing this documentary for public awareness. Do you have anything to say regarding this?
What we will say is to extend from us an appreciation and a thank you to your civilization for being willing to come to the point in its conscious conception of itself wherein it is willing to discuss these ideas and expand in many different ways. The exploration of your consciousness will be discovered to be the key to any idea you wish to understand. The universe does not do extraneous and pointless things. Everything works, and there is a reason for everything. Explore and expand your curiosity. Become fascinated with the interplay of all ideas as they interact and interrelate, and you will discover that everything is an orchestration, and a flawless one at that.
Bashar, thank you very much.
We thank you for your endeavor. We thank you for your sharing and your willingness to participate and create an opportunity for others to participate in the growing expansion of awareness, of remembering that you are all made in the image of the infinite creator, and what that means is you are all infinite creators. We thank you.
But what does the academic establishment have to say?
Do you see channeling as a subject that is going to be more and more popular, or just something that's going to fade into the background from your perspective as a psychologist?
Well, I think at the moment, Shirley MacLaine has drawn more importance to it, drawn attention to it anyway, and I think it really depends on the people that do become interested, how influential the people who are drawn to it are. I think this is not something new. This is something that's been with us through the ages. I think it's really more a question of how long can we go on denying it.
People describe channeling as feeling another energy come through them, yet you yourself, as an electrical engineer, often go to these channelings. How do you rectify such a contradictory situation?
Well, I think it ties in very nicely in the fact that the human body is a conductor of energy, and what you're bringing through is energy. All electronics deals with energy. I mean, it's got to move an electron from point A to point B. And basically all we're doing as channels is bringing the energy of the universe, of these other entities, the spirits, through the body, through the back of the brain here, into the vocal mechanism, and the information comes out. Everybody acknowledges that the atoms that make up every piece of mass in the universe have electrons that spin around a nucleus, and those electrons are negatively charged, and they can be moved from electron to electron. That's how energy flows. Why can't that be done with the human body, which is very conductive of energy?
I think every one of us acts as a channel every day.
Dr. David Froning, scientist for the past 20 years for a major aerospace corporation. He has been experimenting with theories on interstellar travel.
As scientists and engineers, we do tend to be more skeptical, and we like to see well-documented proof, and we like to see the thing repeatable time after time after time. And that's probably one reason why things such as UFO and psychic phenomena are still not popular in scientific and engineering circles, because it's not something we've been able to really get our hand on and explain with readily conventional theories. Every day we either take in thoughts or shut them out with our mentality. So even though all of us aren't channels as a performance or a service, I think whether we want to or not, every one of us is a channel. In fact, I know of at least one or possibly two scientists and engineers who actually use channeling to get technical information to help them in their projects.
But our own government search for extraterrestrial life in outer space has not turned up any results, or has it? Another UFO sighting. This one, front page headlines. But what of the huge listening devices in the Arizona deserts? Are we listening to anyone out there in the distant stars? Apparently not, since we haven't heard anything that would classify as a message or a coded signal. But does that mean that there's no one out there? But there are other ways we can be communicated with beside the obvious evidence. The unobvious. The non-physical is often just as real. Jack Purcell, insurance executive on a trip away from home, sits down in his hotel room and decides to meditate.
To my awareness, I fell asleep because I just everything kind of went fuzzy and black and was gone until the next moment I opened my eyes apologizing, gosh, I'm sorry I fell asleep. At which time Penny explained that no, I hadn't really fallen asleep, that but 2 hours had transpired, yeah, by golly it had, and that this experience had happened, and she had written down as much as she possibly could of this entity named Lazarus who had communicated through me. Penny and Lazarus made a tape recording, and that's when it hit me like, this is very, very strange and very weird. And I was very skeptical. I mean, I'm stubborn, you know, no. About 6 months before I thought, okay, you know, maybe there's something that I should pay attention to here. And that's pretty much how it began.
We'd be very much interested in talking to Lazarus now. Would that be possible?
Sure. Yeah, it takes about 30 to 45 seconds, and outwardly it will look like I'm just sitting here with my eyes closed, and then he'll come through and, you know, I'm sure he'll like to talk to you. To go into trance is a very simple process. I visualize myself with a number of other things. The final visualization is spinning backwards in larger and larger concentric circles. And at a certain point, it just sort of fades into nothing. Ooh, right, fine. Well, indeed, a pleasure to be talking with you, and, well, shall we begin where you'd like to begin?
Yes, Lazarus, we'd like to ask you, for everybody watching, could you tell us who you are?
Well, that's a difficulty indeed. We're opening to figuring that out ourselves, aren't we? Just as you in your approach are looking for that particular question, that is perhaps the question of all time. Who are you and who are we indeed? We describe ourselves perhaps as a spark of consciousness, a spark of love. For we have no body, we never have. That somehow disturbs people from time to time, you know, in terms of the assumption that any growing consciousness must at some time in its life do service, perhaps in the physical form, on the earth most preferably, but acceptably on other levels indeed. But indeed we've never done that, you know. When the question was put, do you want to grow? You answered and we answered both, yes. And when the question was put, do you want to do that physically? You said yes, we said no. And therein lies our difference. Now, the problem here is people look out there, yes? They're looking all over the place as though God was somehow outside of them. It's within. Every spiritual reference, be it fundamental or be it avant-garde, speaks of that spirit within. And we would suggest here that it's there. And therefore, your task in this physical lifetime really isn't to find God, because God's everywhere. God is all that is everything. It's all over the place. Your task in any physical incarnation is to find yourself.
When I was about 18 years old, I was meditating, learning how to relax to work within my everyday world. And I challenged concepts of metaphysics, of religion, of everyday life. And I demanded an answer. And I laid back on the bed and just listened. And Mina, a spiritual entity, manifested in my bedroom.
What do you mean, manifested?
She physically formed. It was a material manifestation. And I closed my eyes, laid back down, opened my eyes. She was still there.
Can you tell us what she looked like?
She appeared tall. She appeared to be 6 to 7 foot tall. And at that moment, I was looking all around the room. And as I would gaze back at her, because I was lying down, I would say between 6 and 7 foot tall. She appeared to have clothing on, but at the same time was glowing with light. And there was an essence of darkness for hair. I couldn't actually say I saw hair, but I saw the image of that, a visual image.
What did the face look like?
The face looked almost ageless, probably within 30s or 40s, very soft and serene. Then it took me a process of going into an altered state of consciousness that would take 2 to 3 hours in the beginning of intense relaxation, meditation techniques. And at that time, through the process of having an outside individual asking questions, we maintained connection, but it was more of a sensation of hearing her telepathically and then telling you what I heard. During that time, I would say I was a conscious channel, and I had the option to edit what she was saying if I didn't like it. And it wasn't until about 7 or 8 years ago that I decided to be an unconscious channel and let her have full reign. And I do not recall anything that's happening in channeling anymore.
My name is Mina, and we thank you for inviting us to this occasion, my dear sweet child.
The first question, Mina, could you tell us who you are and where you're from?
To be basic, we are from the dimension of the universe, universal mind, or from which some call God. For your finite terms, you are more interested in where we came from in our physical dimension, we are sure. And we have been upon the planet from the essence of its beginning, thousands of years ago. We, 4 of us, were seeded from other dimensions within the universe. The most interesting lifetimes for you children of the media is in regard to Egyptian life.
We interviewed a man called Brian Myers who was able, with your assistance, to go out into the desert and find something quite interesting.
We started this about 2 years ago when we first got our information from Mina, and she had located the area on the map to us, telling us that this was a location of good mineralization, gold and silver. So we came out here, actually found the area on the ground, and then went about standard geological testing procedure. The driller came out here, and the driller thought we were crazy, because the driller has drilled up east of us, he's drilled west of us, so he didn't think there was a chance at all. We took surface tests, did assays, and it showed that there was gold and silver here. So at this point, we've gotten nothing but positive results and confirmation on the information from that Mina has given us. And again, we found not only traces of gold and silver, but actually visible gold flakes that you could see to the eye.
Do you have any idea how much gold might be found out here eventually?
With these type of values, if you are, and you do have a economic process to extrapolate these type of values, you're talking in many millions of dollars worth of material that's out here on this land.
Is there anything special you'd like to say?
The most special thing that we can perceive is that the persons that are watching recognize the divinity of their own being, that you are created in the likeness and image of God. You have the wisdom, the limitless, infinite power within the universe to be all that you can be.
Thank you, Mina. This is all that we need to know now.
We think that you mean we are dismissed, and so we shall leave. Thank you.
But if we're to examine channeling in this program, we have to mention this lady, Jane Roberts, and the more than 15 books channeled through her by an entity calling itself Seth, which have sold more than 1 million copies and were written 15 years ago when channeling was too frightening a concept for most people to consider. In a rare audio recording, let's listen in on Seth speaking through Jane Roberts.
I've said this many times. I say it 1,000,000 times. Here in this class and in my books. You form your reality then what is the you that forms this spectacular reality that you know? When will you be willing to admit the greatness that is within each of you and not cower? And not say in this realm of reality it is not possible, but encounter the greatness within yourselves.
Rick Stack, teacher of the Seth philosophy in Manhattan.
Clearly, the main message that Seth is trying to say is that people are gods in training, that the physical reality is a training system, and that we are learning here that we create our own reality, totally. Everything that happens to us, we create. And we are learning through trial and error to become responsible co-creators with all that is.
New Age thoughts. Some are very ancient concepts, giving you twists. But are they making any impact? A recent USA Weekend poll stated that 1 person in 4 believes they have lived before. That means we're not actually Americans or Russians or 6 feet tall and a certain weight, but spiritual beings agreeing to be here with each other at this time to learn what we feel we must and to continue to evolve. We have seen beings communicate through channels, like the energy being channeled through the crystals in your television sets right now. Entities from another time, or from our future, unknown to us. But can we communicate with beings from the past that we do know about? Film crews flew from the Detroit-Windsor area into the part of the world noted for its psychics. Brazil. Luis Gasparetto has had famous artists from the past channeled through him since the age of 13. Keep your attention on Luis. His eyes remain shut during the entire paintings. Using his opposite hand, Gasparetto begins another artist among the 44 that come through him. Recognize the familiar long neck and tubular face? Here's the signature, Modigliani. Amadeo Modigliani, born July 12, 1884, and died in 1920 at the age of 36. Two faces at once, a different artist in each hand. We asked Luis Antonio Gasparetto how all this began.
When I was 13 years old, they had a meeting home. We used to get together and pray together. And my father used to teach us spiritualism, metaphysics, reincarnation, and many things. In one of these meetings, I felt myself totally involved by a strange force, and I got paralyzed. And because of this, my mother felt that I was going in a sort of trance. So she decided to go with me in a psychic meeting, so the psychic couldn't see me and see what's going on with me. And they thought that I'd be right because I had a strong pain in my arms. And during the meeting, for my surprise, instead of writing, I started drawing. That was the first time that the painters approached me.
Gasparetto normally finishes a painting in 5 minutes and usually works in the dark, allowing lights only for this filming.
I play the music, and the music plays inside of me. And it's clear for me that my sensitivity is far from me. It's bigger. So everything that's inside of that field is inside of me. So the spirits approach, and I feel the spirits. I feel their personalities. I can see them, I can hear them. And when they think in what they want to do, my body responds of what they think.
But let's see someone we all feel a closeness to, a style many of us recognize. Notice the spontaneity with which the colors are spread around the canvas. And now the technique, bizarre, almost comic. Yet look, the broad, energetic strokes, the circular wisps of sky. Does it remind you of someone long ago? An old friend trying to say something? Vincent van Gogh, the first great Dutch master since the 17th century. Between 1888 and 1890, he produced his greatest pictures. Most of them landscapes filled with ecstatic movement. An extraordinary style from an extraordinary personality. Lynn Margulith, New York artist living in the artistic community of Soho in New York City. We asked her how long she has been an artist and what she thought of the Gasparetto tape you have just seen.
I've been painting for 20 years. A normal artist would have to study for many years to be able to make those kind of decisions and to make them over a period of time, like, let's say, at least a few hours. And that artist would stand back and look at the work and then come forward and work and then go back. And here Luis is doing this and just instantaneously making the decisions. It's just astounding. He feels the energy, the artist's energy come through emotionally. He must. I mean, because he uses so many techniques, and that's not just a mind operation.
It's very difficult to describe sensations that we have no names in our language. But I feel like I'm totally inside of a ball, a field of energy. In this field of energy, my consciousness is different. And so I talk to them normally during the process. And it's wonderful because they tell stories, they tell jokes. They're very funny. They have a lot of fun in doing this.
Luis is a wonderful instrument, and the entities coming through him are quite high in nature. a group of artists that as a sole group have decided to come together and reacquaint mankind with the beauty of their ability. And their major mission is to let everyone know that there is no death, and that the creative force of the universe, the Creator, is the center of every being. Once a person loses a physical body, that creativity can never be destroyed, for it is divine energy.
Left hand, right hand, both hands, upside down, sideways. What else could these artists demonstrate through Gasparetto to get our attention? Watch what happens now. Eyes closed, both feet, even signing it, Manet. You know, there are some things in life that cannot be perceived by the mind because they're meant to be understood with the heart. This is such a time for you now. As each of us continue to grow in our own way, whatever happens, let's see if we can't keep in touch with each other. I'm Telly Savalas. Good evening.